cabin rested deeply in the woods, enveloped by ancient trees whose whispers exchanged secrets in the wind. It was a haven of serenity where the outside world seemed to vanish and time held its breath. However, this tranquility was on the brink of disruption as a group of friends selected the cabin for their weekend retreat. The group comprised 5 friends: Jane, John, Claire, Jake, and Sarah. Despite having been close since high school, they had drifted apart in recent years. In an attempt to rekindle their friendship, they organized a weekend getaway to the cabin. Upon arrival, they were met with the musty scent of aged wood and the creaking of worn floorboards. The cabin, rustic with faded wallpaper and a fireplace that bore the marks of countless flames, witnessed the group settling in, unpacking bags, and exploring their temporary abode. Almost immediately, strange occurrences commenced. Lights flickered, doors opened and closed independently, and shadows danced across the room. Initially dismissing these events as figments of their imagination, the group's apprehensions heightened as the weekend unfolded. Whispers echoed through the night, and phantom footsteps surrounded the cabin. On the second night, Zhang awoke to find her bedroom door ajar. Assuming a friend had checked on her, she realized the room felt colder, charged with an eerie energy. A faint scratching emanated from the closet, initially dismissed as a mouse. However, the persistent sound led Zhang to confront it. Opening the closet, she was met with glowing yellow eyes staring back at her, freezing her in terror. Sharing her experience the next morning, Jane's friends dismissed it as imagination, attributing it to passing headlights. Yet the eerie incidents persisted. On the third night, while gathered around the fireplace, playing cards and sipping wine, a loud banging on the cabin door startled the group. Upon opening the door, no one was in sight, but mysterious footprints appeared leading to the door. Growing frightened and uneasy, the group decided to leave for civilization, only to find their car refusing to start. Stranded with no escape, the night intensified with voices whispering in the darkness and shadows lurking outside. Convinced of a malevolent presence, they anxiously awaited the morning's arrival. As dawn broke, they packed hastily, leaving the woods. Yet at the forest's edge, they encountered a chilling sight. A figure in a tattered cloak holding a lantern and a sharp object. Frozen in fear, the group learned it was an old man, driven by the solitude of the woods. He admitted to orchestrating the strange occurrences to scare intruders, harboring no intention to harm them. Leaving the woods with newfound awareness of the darkness that lurked, the group was grateful for their survival. Yet, the terror experienced at the cabin remained etched in their memories, a haunting reminder of the dangers hidden in the depths of solitude. The rugged and wild terrain of the Alaskan Bush was home to many cabins scattered throughout the white and barren landscape. It was common for hunters and fishermen to seek refuge in these cabins during their adventures. However, there was one cabin seldom visited by anyone. Deep in the bush, surrounded by dense, tall, and dark trees buried in snow, this cabin had an eerie reputation. Strange things happened there, and people never returned. In midwinter, a young couple named Mark and Amanda decided to visit the cabin. Avid hunters, they had been looking forward to their trip to Alaska for months. Despite warnings from others, they were intrigued by the stories surrounding the cabin and decided to spend a night there to unravel its mysteries. Setting out from the nearest village with all their supplies and equipment, along with Mark's sled dog, they traveled hundreds of miles through the wilderness on snowmobiles until they reached the cabin. A small one-room cabin with a fireplace, a wooden bed, and a long bench that served as both a seat and a table. Clearly old and rarely used, the cabin excited Amanda and Mark as they were eager to explore its history. As the sun set, they built a fire to warm up the cabin, settling in for the night. They cooked some food, talked about their adventurous day, and enjoyed each other's company. However, as the night deepened, Amanda felt something was off. The dense forest outside seemed to be watching her, and a feeling of unease set in. Thick snowflakes fell, and the wind howled through the trees, creating a chilling sound that echoed through the cabin. Thor, the sled dog, was agitated and restless, whining pitifully. Amanda sensed he was picking up on something she couldn't see. As the night wore on, Mark and Amanda crawled into bed, hoping to get some sleep. Huddled together for warmth, the only sounds in the cabin were the crackling fire and the soft hum of the wind outside. They drifted off, but the silence was soon broken by a low, eerie howl. Jolted awake, Mark and Amanda heard Thor growling viciously. Something was amiss. The quiet night was shattered by a loud thud on the roof, shaking the entire cabin. Mark investigated, but found nothing in the dark and snowy wilderness. They dismissed it, but the thuds on the roof continued, growing louder and more frequent. Amanda buried herself under the covers, trembling with fear. Mark, trying to stay calm, convinced himself it was just the wind. Suddenly, a sound at the door, as if something was trying to break it down, froze Mark in his tracks. Heavy breathing accompanied the loud thuds, and Mark, grabbing his hunting rifle, opened the door slowly. A tall, slender figure with the body of a man and the face of a wolf stood before Mark. A werewolf, a loup-garou. It lunged at him, and Mark's rifle had no effect. The creature attacked, claws digging into Mark's flesh. Amanda screamed as she watched the creature tear Mark apart. Thor, trying to defend, was killed. Helpless, Amanda faced the creature, which loomed over her, ready to attack. Suddenly, a loud crashing sound, and the curtains burst open, bathing the room in light. The werewolf recoiled in terror, its body engulfed in flames. It ran out, vanishing into the darkness. A bright white light filled the cabin as an angelic figure with pure white wings and a radiant glow stood in the room. Amanda felt safe, knowing the creature wouldn't return as long as the light existed. She spent the remainder of the night in the cabin with her otherworldly companion. The angel kept her warm, calm, and safe. Amanda slept peacefully, realizing that even in the heart of the Alaskan wilderness, nothing in the world was beyond understanding, even things that may seem strange and terrifying. On a cold, dark night in the dead of winter, a family of 4 embarked on a journey to their remote cabin in the woods. Despite the treacherous snow, they made the journey without much trouble and arrived at their peaceful hideaway. However, as soon as they stepped inside, they felt an eerie chill unrelated to the frigid temperatures outside. The cabin was old and creaky, with a musty scent lingering in every corner. The family tried to ignore the uneasy feeling in their stomachs as they settled in for the night. As the wind howled outside, the youngest daughter, Emily, heard a strange sound coming from the attic. She was convinced she heard footsteps, but her parents dismissed her as simply being afraid of the unfamiliar surroundings. Despite their attempts to reassure her, Emily continued to insist that there was something up there. Later that night, as the family slept, Emily awoke to the sound of scratching. In the pitch-black darkness, she couldn't see a thing, but she felt like something was watching her. The scratching grew louder and more insistent. Nervously, she pulled her covers up to her chin and tried to ignore it. She woke her parents, who listened carefully but didn't hear a thing. They reassured her that it was just her imagination and urged her to go back to sleep. The next morning, the family noticed strange scratches on the walls and floors, as if something had been clawing its way around the cabin. The parents tried to play it off as just another quirk of the old structure, but Emily wasn't so sure. As the day stretched on, Emily noticed more and more strange happenings, lights flickering on and off inexplicably, footsteps in empty hallways, dishes and furniture moved around as if by an invisible hand. One night, as the family sat huddled together in the living room, they heard moaning coming from outside. Opening the door, they saw a strange, ghostly figure stumbling through the snow, appearing as if in agony. The family tried to go back to bed, but the moaning persisted, growing louder and closer. They could see the ghostly figure hovering just outside the window, staring in at them with empty eyes. They tried to leave the cabin, but it was too late. The doors were locked, and the windows were frozen shut. Trapped inside, they began to deteriorate, barely sleeping or eating, constantly on edge. They all started seeing the ghostly figure, experiencing shadows moving without a source, hearing whispers from beyond the walls, and feeling cold hands brushing against them. Despite attempts to escape, they couldn't unlock the doors or windows. Phone calls were futile with no service in the remote area. Trapped, the ghostly figure grew stronger with each passing night. Finally, one night, the ghostly figure appeared before them in all its haunting glory. It was the spirit of a woman who had been killed inside the cabin decades earlier, trapped in the mortal realm since. She wanted the family to join her, to stay with her in the cabin forever. Despite their terror, the family found the strength to resist her call. They back, and with one final burst of energy, they broke through the doors and ran into the woods, never looking back. Yet they could still hear the ghostly laughter echoing behind them, a reminder of the horrors they left behind.